I'm Kevin.
I'm Whitney. We're the Hearts.
We are the Heart and Home channel, and we are building our own Barndominium. And today we are going to be going over the cost to build a Barndominium in 2021.
Okay, so disclaimer before we get started, there are a few things we're not going to include in this price, and Kevin will go into it a little bit more.
Yeah, so we're not going to be including the cost of our land and also the preparation, like clearing away trees and grounding that stuff. The reason that we're not going to be doing that is just because it's completely different for every person.
Based on location and your type of land that you have, all of that just varies so much that it's just pointless.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first section we're going to talk about is making your land habitable. So basically 3 things: septic, well, and grid hookup. These are also going to vary a lot, but they are good to talk about just so people can have a general idea of what things basically cost. But obviously they're going to be different versus where you purchase the land.
We're going to give you an idea of what we're roughly spending on ours, just so you can kind of have a general idea, but like we said, yours is probably going to vary wildly based on what you're doing. So for septic, we've purchased the plans and the original test holes that we had dug. That was about $1,000. We also had an estimate at the time, but that was also back in 2020, so this may change a little bit, but the rest of it was the total comes out to be about $14,000 to $16,000.
Is how much we're expecting to pay. So yeah, that could vary a little bit. And the next, same thing with our well. We got all of these estimates last year. So the well, if you want to go into that a little bit more.
So for the well, we already had the main well dug. That cost about $12,000, and we still have to get all of the trenching done to it and the pipes laid and all that stuff. And we got an estimate for about $14,000.
So total for that, 12 what we already paid, 14 what we're going to pay, about 26,000, give or take a little bit. And then the next section, or the next thing, would be the grid.
For our property, we already had electrical wires around the edge of the property, so it's not really going to be crazy like some people might if you're building out in the country. We're expecting to pay between $12,000 and $15,000 for total for a grid hookup. But again, this is probably the least useful one, just because everybody's situation is gonna cost a lot different. What I will say, if you have to run electrical for a mile, you're gonna pay a fortune. So be very aware of where your existing, where the existing utilities are before you choose your property.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about foundation costs. We're going to kind of go into a few different things in this just because it's kind of interesting, and we're also going to talk about what we thought it was going to cost versus what we had to pay because we ran into a couple problems. So
the original price that we were quoted was going to be about $32,000. We chose to put our posts on footers and then do a slab after that. It's sort of like the traditional way to build a post frame, except the posts are out of the ground. Originally, that seemed like the most cost-effective way for us to do it, but the issue is that when the requirements from the county had us that we had to fully insulate the outside of it. So and because of the rock, we actually might have paid around the same price for a stem wall, which actually would have been a superior product, but we didn't know that going into it. So definitely talk with your contractor about your options and price differences, and they'll be able to help you out. Now, we did run into some major issues where we have like cracked basalt or fractured basalt about a foot, sometimes even less than a foot under the ground of the build site that we chose. So that ended up bringing the price up to $43,000. That was a big bummer. The next up is the actual shell of the structure. For us, we're kind of classifying this as the kit that we got, and then also some supporting items like chains and extra fasteners, stuff like that. Our total came out to about $58,000.
And so to build a barndominium, you don't need to buy a kit. or a pole barn post frame, you don't need to buy a kit. But we decided to for a few reasons, and we'll talk about that a little bit. We're going to make a separate video going more in depth on that, but we'll just talk about that briefly.
Yeah, kind of why you might want to pick one or the other. But generally, the reasons that we really wanted to go with a kit for this is that I'm not a super experienced builder, and so we wanted to have some additional hand-holding anytime, like being able to talk with someone when I run into trouble. It has huge value. Having a construction manual is a huge value for us, and then also making sure that the building is engineered to withstand the specifications outlined by the county, and then also be able to resell to resell the house later if you don't have those things, the inspections and things, and have your house approved for them. It can be really tricky to get those to be sold later on. People won't be able to take out a loan to buy your house from you, so that would be a bummer.
If you don't buy a kit and you don't have an engineer, you could potentially save up to half.
Yeah, probably something like that.
So maybe we
price.
could have spent around $27, $28.
Yeah.
But like Kevin said, because this is our first time, because we don't have a lot of experience, and because we just didn't want to have to jump through multiple hoops when inevitably at some point in our life we sell the home, we just decided let's pay a bit more and not have the stress of all that. So most people we know that are building barndos are not doing kits. But we know a couple that are. So there's pros and cons to both. And again, we'll make a video about that in the future.
Yeah. And if you do decide to go with a kit supplier for your home, make sure that you keep your design as simple as possible. We had a home that was not terribly more complex than this one. It was similar size, but with 2 dormers, actually maybe 3 dormers and an extrusion for a back deck area off of the side. And that one was about twice the price as what we're even talking about here. So there definitely wasn't that many more materials, but just the complexity of the project and their pricing structure definitely will get you. So keep it simple if you want to save yourself some money.
Yeah. So we basically ours will look very simple. We won't have any dormers.
Basically a big rectangle.
It'll look cute, but yeah, it's some barndos that I see are really beautiful in the way that they structure them. Ours is very simple, and again, maybe if we didn't buy a kit, we would have been able to do that. But
so now we're on to the interior. This is the section that we kind of know the least about. We did our best to estimate how much everything was going to cost. But with the way that things are going right now in 2021, it's kind of hard to exactly know how much things are going to cost when we need to buy them. So take everything we say here with a grain of salt.
And maybe we will do a follow-up video in a year and a half with how much we spent.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely will.
That'll be fun to compare the two. So yeah, interior, we'll start with electric. We have to do a little bit of stuff in there.
Yeah, so the wires, sockets, panel, lights, that kind of stuff. We're estimating between $3,000 to $5,000 for that. And
then insulation.
Yeah, so this will be on the wall sides, interior walls, and then the blown-in insulation that will be in the roof. We're in climate zone 6, so we have the highest demands on insulation in America, I believe. Actually, there might be a couple places with category 7, but generally our insulation is going to be more expensive than most places.
So we're budgeting, looking at my phone, between like $5,600 to $8,500 for insulation costs. Okay, next is the kitchen. The kitchen is probably going to seem pretty low. We're trying to get creative with how we're doing some stuff. Basically, when we had the issue with the foundation, we had to be like, okay, so where can we grab from other parts of our home? Because if you know our story, we are using cash to build this home. We are not going to borrow a penny. So even if that means we have to pick up things off the side of the road, that is what we are going to do. Yeah. And that may sound silly, but it's just, it's a huge goal of ours and we're just chasing after it. So, The kitchen, we are budgeting between 4,000 to 7,000 for that. So we are looking to get some hand-me-down appliances from some people that we know that are upgrading their kitchen. They're still in great shape. They don't look bad at all. They're the colors that we want. It's not like they're going to be this patchwork kind of look. It's going to look nice. We're going to make sure it looks nice. We might do the same with our cabinetry.
Yeah, so with cabinets, we may pick up some that are from people that are getting rid of their old cabinets and then build more to match those as we get going. One of the big things that of what we do build, I'm going to try and find an alternative way of building those, just because plywood is so expensive right now. So trying to find out how we can do that with the minimum amount of sheet goods as possible. So between all that, yeah, I think we should be able to keep it down underneath 7,000. So we'll see.
Oh, the last thing too is countertops. We're going to be using butcher's block.
Yep, possibly making our own butcher's block.
Yeah,
as well.
we'll see. It really just depends on time and money and all of that as we get towards the end of our project.
I think we have about $1,000 just for the countertops. So I don't know if that's going to be enough to cover all of the countertop space that we have. We'll see what we're able to do with that.
Yeah,
so.
and we might use a different product on the island. My parents have a really cool brushed steel island in their California home. So I don't know, we're going to look into different things like that.
I'm really looking forward to it, actually. Just finding out how we can make something nice on a very tight budget is actually like a really exciting problem for me.
Yeah, definitely. So as we get into that and we figure out what exactly we'll be using, like hand-me-down stuff, we will continue to share with you our journey on making our kitchen look nice with basically scrap stuff. So wish us luck. The next section is interior structure, and we have budgeted around 3,000 to 4,000 for that.
And so this is the lumber that's going into the walls, and then also the interior doors as well.
Okay. The next is HVAC. We are budgeting 5,000 to 8,000 for that.
Yeah, and so this one is kind of a little bit nebulous too. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to be doing ducting or not, or finding other creative solutions. Right now, we need to figure out a number of different variables before we really lock that down as to what we need. So we will find out.
Okay, next is flooring. We've budgeted $2,100 to $3,000 for flooring. This actually might get nixed if we go over budget some more. We were thinking about maybe keeping the concrete floors for a while. That we don't necessarily want to do that, but if we have some unexpected costs, that will probably be one of the first thing to go off of our list here.
Yep, little kids in concrete don't always mix super well, but we'll see. We'll see what we.
They're just gonna wear helmets all the time.
Yeah. That'll be our flooring budget, is just helmets for the kids.
So when you come over to our house, we'll give you slippers, because
slippers and helmets.
Slippers and a helmet. Sub foundation plumbing. Kevin will go into that a little bit more, but we have budgeted $3,500 to $5,000.
Yeah. So for this, we're gonna have one of our family friends over to help us get this done, and so that's probably why it's a little bit cheaper than it might actually cost to hire someone. I'm planning on doing most of the work myself still, but he's going to be here for the glue up and stuff, just to make sure I don't really screw anything up too badly. So since it's going under the concrete, it's kind of important to do well.
Yes, definitely. Wall coverings is $3,100 to $4,700.
Yeah, so that's drywall, and I don't think I actually had anything budgeted for Shiplap yet. That might just be the ceiling and the walls.
Okay.
Assuming drywall, but I think we're looking at doing shiplap on some of the ceilings, so we'll see what that ends up coming out to.
Yeah, we'll see. Honestly, at this point, whatever's cheaper. So water conditioning, we budgeted $1,700 to $2,200.
And this is for like water softener, filtration, stuff like that. So
yeah, we have well water, so we want to get a good filter. And usually well water is the water can be pretty hard, so it has a lot of these like minerals in it. And I grew up on hard water, and it can just like get this film in your hair and stuff, so it's really good to have a good softener. So for bathrooms, we have budgeted 3,000 to 4,000. Again, that seems low. We will probably look for a hand-me-down vanity, or they have really inexpensive vanities too. Yeah, or Kevin will build one.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah. At one of our old flips, we basically took this old vanity, changed the top, and put like a, what do you call that? A raised sink on it?
Yeah.
And it looked really, yeah. So it looked really nice. So we'll probably do something similar to that. We will see what kind of sales we can find.
Yeah.
Also, with this in mind too, if we come into more unexpected costs, we won't actually finish our master bathroom.
Yeah, we'll just go with the toilet.
Yeah, we will put in our toilet and a sink, and then we'll wait to do the shower and all of that until we have the money to pay for that.
Yeah.
That's not something we need to move in, so we're not super concerned about it. I mean, we'd like it done, of course, but...
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we get.
Okay, so a couple of these next ones I'm just going to kind of rattle through. They don't really need a lot of explanation. So plumbing materials between 1,000 to 2,000. Light fixtures, we are budgeting 1,000. Kev will go into a little bit. Recessed lighting are we going to do, or
some pretty cheap like LED can light looking sort of fixtures.
Yeah,
but they're pretty dirt cheap if you buy like a big bag of them.
We like dirt cheap. Also, a few areas will have actual light fixtures, like in our bathrooms, and then maybe one hanging one over the island. I'm not sure, but I like to keep a lookout on. What do you say?
So much for rattling these off.
I'm sorry. I like to keep a lookout on like Craigslist or OfferUp, because you can find good stuff on there.
Old stuff with spray paint is great.
Yeah, we actually made a couple cool things like that. Okay, anyways. Furniture, we have only budgeted $1,000. I don't even know what that's for.
Yeah, I keep, that's the biggest one I keep kicking out. And I think it's because I'm in charge of the budget, so.
Yeah, we're going to use all our old furniture.
Yeah.
Of course, who doesn't want to move into a new house and completely redecorate it? That sounds awesome. But we're not going to do that. So, might find some cool stuff, but that $1,000, I don't even know what that's in there for.
We could honestly make $1,000 work go quite far for us with like garage sale season. I think we could find a lot of...
Yeah, so maybe that's what it's for. Yeah. I don't know. Some bar stools.
Yeah,
I'm not
bar
sure.
stools for the kitchen is really the only furniture that we have. Oh, and maybe supplies for the kitchen table.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. Next we have trim, which is only $500 to $700.
Yeah, so there's a chance that I may be making our trim just because we have quite a lot of it. One thing that you need to account for with Barndominiums is that there is with any clear span trusses, there is lift that happens during the low humidity times, and so there's special trim details that you need to deal with that, and we'll be making a video about that later on. Okay, so to wrap it all up, our project is going to cost somewhere in the range of $183,000 to $204,000. Like we said, that's going to probably change a little bit, or we still hope it lands somewhere in there, but the prices this year are all over the place, so a little bit difficult to tell exactly what things are going to be.
Thank you guys for watching our video. We hope you found this interesting and maybe helpful if you're thinking about building a Barndominium. Let us know in the comments below if this is what you thought it would cost, or you thought it'd be cheaper or more expensive. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, please hit that like button. And if you want to follow along on our journey of us building a Barndominium, please subscribe to our channel. We're going to come out with a lot of fun videos on just the process of building, the bumps in the road that we hit, and then also how we live awesome on a frugal budget. So if you're interested in any of those things, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks guys again. We hope you guys have a great day, and thank you for watching. Tell me you're a parent without telling me you're a parent. You're using this to take our notes on. He just grabbed it. I think it's actually quite clever.